Morning, juniors. It's Mr. Myers, and we're going to start our next standard. So we will be starting 5.2, and what we're going to be doing is solving polynomials by factoring. But first, let's pause this video and write the polynomial in standard form. All right, so now that you've tried, remember what the problem is telling us to do is it wants us to multiply these two factors together. So what we can do is we're going to multiply x to all the parts, and then we're going to multiply -1 to all the parts. So we've done this before. We know what we're supposed to do here. So let's first do, I'll do these in different colors here. So y equals, we're going to do x times 3x squared. So that'll be 3x to the third. And then we're going to do x times 5x will be plus 5x squared. Then we'll do x times -2, and then we'll have minus 2x. And then now we'll multiply the -1 everything. Notice -1 times everything is just going to switch the sign. So -1 times 3x squared will be minus 3x squared. -1 times positive 5x will be negative 5x. And -1 times -2 will be positive 2. So now we have this polynomial, and we know that all we need to do now is add our like terms. So y is going to equal, do we have any other x cubed terms? And we're like, no. So we have 3x cubed. And then we have 5x squared. Do we have an x squared term? So like, oh, I see a 5x squared. And I see a -3x squared. So that will be plus 2x squared. And then do we have any other x terms? So we have minus 2x. Oh, we got a minus 5x. So that'll be minus 7x. And then do we have any other constant terms at plus 2? We just have plus 2 then. So then, oh, and I missed something here. This should have been 3x cubed. And this should be 2x squared. All right. So we have our final polynomial written in standard form. But for this standard, what we're going to really be doing is we're going to focus on taking something in standard form and rewriting it then in factor form so that we can solve for the polynomial. So let's look at our agenda for today. We're going to be factoring polynomials. So notice that we're going to be factoring some polynomials, and that's going to be our method. So they're going to be in standard form, and we'll factor them. And notice that I have these factor methods on the right-hand side here. So some methods that we already know. We know simple factoring, where we just factor out a number or a variable. We know the RS method. We know left side, right side. That's part of the RS method. The one thing we don't know is we don't know the special cases yet. We're going to be learning those next class. And today we're just going to focus on simple factoring, and we're going to focus on the RS method. And I don't know what those are that I just draw. I tried to draw stars, but apparently I don't remember how to draw stars. So hopefully that happens next time. And then our objective today, we're going to convert to standard form like we just did. I mean, that was the lesson for that part. We already know how to do that part. But today we're going to factor polynomials completely, and we're going to use things that we already know. And what we want to do is we want to be able to solve polynomials in the future. So, as we keep moving here, if we describe the steps to solve each polynomial, how are they similar? How are they different? So take a second to think about this. How are these similar? How are they different? Think about the form that they're in. And you can pause the video, write it down. Make sure you get these things in your notes. All right, so we're back. Some things that you may have noticed, that this top one, we know that this is in factor form. And this bottom one, we know is in standard form. So in the top part here, we can actually solve these. We know that we have 3 things multiplied together set equal to 0. So if I set these all equal to 0, I can solve for the factors. And we know it's just really going to be the opposite sign. So x minus 3 equals 0, x plus 4 equals 0, and x plus 7 equals 0. So if we add 3 to both sides, we get x equals 3, x equals a -4. And if we subtract 7, we get x equals -7. And remember, we can write this with this notation. This is something that we might see on standardized tests. So we'll write them from smallest to greatest. We'll do -7, -4, 3, and then a closed squiggly line bracket. So remember, this means I'll do this in the black pen here. It means x equals, and it means the set -7, -4, -3. So x is equal to any one of these three. And we know that this is where they cross the x-axis. So now when we see something that's in standard form, when something's in standard form, what we have to do then is we have to factor first. So our first step is going to be to factor this. And when we look at these three terms, what can we factor out first? You're right, we can factor out an x. So we have x, this will be x squared, it'll be plus 2x, it'll be minus 15, and then equals 0. Can we factor more? So first thing, notice what we did is we actually did simple factor. Now, let's see, can we factor this again? So can we factor this part that I'm underlining right now? Can we factor x squared plus 2x minus 15? Yes, we can. So not only are we going to simple factor, we're actually going to do the RS method. Because we know that if we have three terms, 1, 2, 3, these three terms, then we can see if we can do the RS method. So let's factor that now. So we know that R times S is equal to our A term times our C term. So A times C is going to be -15. And then R plus S has to equal my middle term, which is 2. So if we're thinking about this, we're like, all right, so 15 is a 5 and a 3. Well, that can probably work. So let's try, and it has to be, one has to be negative. So let's do +5, -3. So we can see that that's going to be our R and S. Remember, we stretch the middle term. And notice I'm going to leave this other x out front. And we have to use parentheses here to take care of some things. So we're going to have x squared plus 5x minus 3x minus 15 equals 0. And notice that now what we're doing is we're going to be stretching the middle term here. I mean, we already stretched the middle term. We're going to be doing left side, right side. So let's factor out, what can we factor out the first thing? We factor out an x, and we have x plus 5. Now we can factor out a -3. And notice that the same thing we get is x plus 5 equals 0. Notice that I'm still doing step 1. I'm still just factoring this. So let's move this down here. Give ourselves some more space. All right, so we're back here. We see that x plus 5, x plus 5. So we have this x out front. We have x plus 5 that we're going to factor out. And then we have x minus 3. And notice all this is equal to 0. And it's very similar to what we have from that first example that we looked at. So we have three things. We have x, x plus 5, x minus 3. And we're just going to, so our second step, after we completely factor, is we want to set each factor equal to 0. So it's going to be x equals 0, x plus 5 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. So this one's already solved for. X will equal a -5 as well, and x will equal a +3. So we have three factors here. X equals, let's do the smallest to largest again, -5, 0, 3. So any one of those. Notice that we get three solutions. How did we know we got three solutions? Let's look back at our original equation. We expect it to be a degree of 3. It is. We see that we have a degree of 3. That means we should have 3 solutions. Notice that they were all distinct zeros, so 3 real zeros. Right here we have 3 real zeros. And let's circle this as our final answer. So that's solving it after we can factor. And let's do some more problems here. We got a couple more, and then we'll be done here. So what we're going to practice now is just factoring the expression completely. So if we have these three terms here, the first thing, again, we want to do is we want to see, can we simple factor? So we're going to factor. Expression means no equal sign completely. First thing we always want to check is simple factoring. So simple factoring is always going to be our number one step. What can we factor out of here, out of these three terms? And we see that we have an x in all of them. So we can factor out an x. Then we have x squared minus 7x plus 10. And then the second step is you want to try any sort of methods. So we only know these two methods right now, so we're like, oh, let's now do the RS method. And we're doing that because we have 3 terms. And it's quadratic. We can see that we have something squared, an x, and a constant term. So let's do the RS method again. R times s equals 10. R plus s equals -7. We can see that if we do, what if we do a -5 and a -2? That should work for our R and S. Notice we keep this x outside. I'm not writing equal signs anywhere because I don't need to. So I have x squared minus 5x minus 2x plus 10. And then I need to factor the left side and right side here. So we have x, and then x minus 5, a -2x, or I'm sorry, -2, and then it'll be x minus 5. Notice that I have to put these double parentheses because this parenthesis here is going with this one there. All right, and let's move the screen here. So now we notice that this x minus 5 can be factored out. This x out front stays. X minus 5. And then what's left over is this x minus 2. So this is factored completely. I can no longer divide any of these terms and factor it from there. And then I think I have one more here. So not only can we just factor out a variable like we did in that first one, but sometimes we can also factor out a number as well. So notice that 3, I'm having troubles here trying to extend the page. All right, so we have 3x to the 4th plus 6x cubed minus 45x squared. Notice that we can take an x squared out of each thing because we have at least x squared. But notice that 3, 6, and 45 are all divisible by 3. So let's take out a 3 as well. So if we divide everything by 3x squared, we're left with x squared plus 2x. And then 45 divided by 3 is actually -15. This actually looks very familiar. Let's look back here. I think we already did x squared plus 2x minus 15. Look at this. X squared plus 2x minus 15. We already factored that to this, x plus 5, x minus 3. So let's do that now. Let's go back and check that. So x squared plus 2x minus 15. And if we go back again, pretty sure that's exactly what we have here. X squared plus 2x minus 15. We already factored this. Let's use what we already know here. We already know that this is going to be x plus 5, x minus 3. And then we have this 3x squared up front. Now, it looks like, can we do any more factoring? Can we factor the 3x squared? And we're like, no, we can't. I mean, it's already factored out. And this other part has already been factored. So really, this is our final solution. This has already been factored completely. So this will be your homework assignment. So this is numbers 1, 2, and 3. The top part, find the product of the polynomials. Product, we're thinking multiply. Notice that number 2 says solve the equation. So we're solving the number 2. We want to know what does x equal. Factor the expression completely. What can we divide from the for number 3, and then 4 and 5. For number 4, solve the equation. So we're solving again. Let's try simple factoring and then solve it. And then number 5, write the figure's volume as a polynomial standard form, where the volume equals length times width times height. So notice that number 5 is going to look very similar to the process you're doing in number 1. All right, so I hope you are all having a great time being at home. I'm just kidding. This isn't the best situation, but I hope you're all doing well. We do have a ticket out, just in case you were wondering. I know some of you are already jumping out of your seats trying to go towards the door. But here's your ticket out. Just describe the steps to solve a polynomial. And the polynomial, I'm just gonna write this in here. Let's say that we have 4x to the 5th plus 8x to the 3rd minus 10x squared. Like I have this right, yeah. And then we'll just say equals 0. So you're just describing, just describe the steps. All right, have a great day. Make sure to subscribe so you can see when these come up. Also, lean on each other. Make sure you're asking each other questions. I'm trying to get this in under 15:30. Yes, yes.